So our video today is on the properties of absolute value functions. First thing to know is that an absolute value is written like this, the straight lines around whatever number, and it represents the magnitude of the value of x. And what that means is if we have a negative number that we're taking the absolute value of, it's just equal to the magnitude, in other words, no negative sign. And if I had the absolute value of something like 1, it would be equal to the same thing. So that's a little bit of a review from last year. A couple of properties of absolute values that are also review. First thing is that our absolute value is always bigger than 0. In other words, we don't have any absolute values that give us a negative number. The second thing is that the absolute value of x and the absolute value of negative x are the same thing. This is very similar to properties that we had when we were talking about the square root function, that the absolute value of x times y is the same as the absolute value of x times the absolute value of y. And we'll use that whenever we're switching from one format for the function into another. And we can also apply this, again, very similar to our properties of square roots, where if we have a fraction that we're taking the absolute value of, we can also just separate it into a absolute value of x over the absolute value of y. A few properties of our absolute value function. The curve has two lines that originate from a vertex. Our vertex is right here for this example, and its location is h and k. And we'll be using that whenever we watch our video on finding the rule of an absolute value function. The two lines that make up either side of our function have slopes of negative a and a. And again, that value a is something that we see in the equation of an absolute value function. And the last thing to know is that our rays are symmetrical. And they are symmetrical around a vertical line at x equals h. So this is, whoa, totally not a straight line, close enough. And the value of that line would be x equal to h, which makes sense because we know this x value at the vertex is h. And that's just a couple of properties that we're going to be using in this unit, and we have to keep them in mind whenever we're solving our problems.